This is Doc Ock coming at you live and direct today from Black Facts Headquarters Central here in Kent, Ohio. Okay, with the news of the day. The news of the day. We coming fast and furious, and we will not play. We do not play. All right, let's see what we got here today. So please always remember, as usual, what we need you to do is to go ahead and give us a like, a thumbs up, and if you don't mind, go ahead and subscribe to the Tubular Black Facts channel. Tubular Black Facts channel. Yep, go ahead and do that while we go ahead and recite our, or share our proverb of the day. Let's see what we got here today. Okay, here we go, here. Ngoya huumiza matumbo. Ngoya huumiza matumbo. And literally that translates as wait hurts the entrails. Okay, so I guess that's in opposition to haraka hyena baraka. This is the other side. So hurry doesn't do you a lot of good, and wait doesn't do you a lot of good either. Yeah, so you got to get everything. If you're going to do it, you got to do it right. If you're going to do it, you got to do it right. All right. And then we got a poem for you today. Another poem from our brother, Kamal Daoud, who likes to live life like a saxophone. Life is a saxophone. This one is the language of saxophones, but I know that's one of his favorite poems. Life is a saxophone. Oh, I see. He's got a whole section here. Liberator of the Spirit. Liberator of the Spirit. 1980 to 1989. This is when I was in LA. Okay, I got a short one for you today. Yeah, this kind of reminds me of Halim El-Dab too, in a way. 1,000 saxophones, 700 kodos, 11 machetes, dripping sugar cane, 300 violins, 650 bagpipes, fresh cut bamboo screaming, 9,000 birds in prayer, 200 mechanics, grease buried beneath short fingernails, 800 sitars, 7 10-foot gongs, 1 million tearless children in Ethiopia, 300 hammers, 200 saws, 10 holy men in subways, 12 divine mothers in wash houses, 1,500 shovels in South African mines, 49 chorus and 17 balafons, 7,003 assorted drums, 7,002 assorted hearts, 50 steel drums, 10,000 midwives carrying fresh fruit, 70 purple banjos, 500,000 Muslims chanting Quran, 6,000 birds of paradise, 100 golden fishermen's nets, 3,000 silkworms, 8,000 waterfalls, 7 trillion, 10 billion, 601 million, 204 tubas, and 1 black chop stick. And just one black chopstick. What you gonna do with 1 black chopstick? Can't do much with that. You're gonna have a hard time eating is what you're gonna be doing. And that one, in case you hadn't figured it out, was called World Music. Very appropriately titled World Music. All right, let's return to our story here, Juneteenth. And we're just reading the introduction, and we may not get too much further than the intro. Let's see if we can finish the intro off today, maybe. Well, Well, we might get halfway through the intro. Let's see what we can do. Okay. Where'd we leave off at? I wish I'd been able to break the window and pull out Ralph's manuscript, she told me years later. I knew right where it was. She knew right where it was, but she couldn't get it out the house as the house was going up in smoke. The Plainfield Fire has taken on the proportions of myth to such an extent that it is useful to revisit what Ellison had to say about it over the years. 10 days after the event, he wrote Charles Valentine that the loss was particularly severe for me, as a section of my work in progress was destroyed with it. Later in the same letter, Ellison outlined the task he saw before him. Fortunately, much of my summer's work on the new novel is still in my mind, and if my imagination can feed it, I'll be all right, but I must work quickly. According to James Allen McPherson, Ellison told him in 1969 that the fire destroyed a year's worth of revisions, but that he is presently in the process of revising it again. In 1980, Ellison told a reporter from the Daily Hampshire Gazette, I guess I've been able to put most of it back together. To David Remnick, just before his 80th birthday in 1994, Ellison made perhaps his fullest public comment on the fire. There was, of course, a traumatic event involved with the book. We lost a summer house, and with it, a good part of the novel. It wasn't the entire manuscript, but it was over 360 pages, and there was no copy. By the time of McPherson's account, done with Ellison's blessing and collaboration in 1970, the second novel had begun to loom larger than a novel or a work in progress. He has enough typed manuscripts to publish 3 novels, McPherson wrote, but is worried over how the work will hold up as a total structure. He does not want to publish 3 separate books, but then he does not want to compromise on anything essential. If I find that it is better to make it a 3-section book, to issue it in 3 volumes, I would do that as long as I thought that each volume had a compelling interest in itself. Ellison told McPherson. On and off for the rest of his life, Ellison continued to work on his mythic saga of race and identity, language and kinship in the American experience, sometimes revising, sometimes reconceiving, sometimes writing entirely new passages into an oft reworked scene. He accumulated some 2,000 pages of typescripts and printouts by the time of his death. His last published excerpt from the novel, an offshoot from the main text titled Backwalking, a Plea to the Senator. Which appeared in 1977, although he continued to write and revise until a fatal illness struck him down at the end of March 1994, just 4 weeks before his 80th birthday. Ralph Ellison did not live to finish his 40-year work in progress. Ellison left no instructions about his work except the wish expressed to Mrs. Ellison and to me that his books and papers be housed at the National Library, the Library of Congress. A few days after his death, Mrs. Ellison walked me into his study, a room adjoining the living room, still wreathed in a slight haze of cigar and pipe smoke. As if to protest his absence, the teeming bookshelves had erupted in chaos over his desk, chair, computer table, and copying machine, finally covering the floor like a blizzard of ash. Anyone else might have given up, but Fanny Ellison persevered in her effort to do the right thing by what her husband had left behind. She whetted my appetite by showing me stacks of printouts, scraps of notes, jottings on old newspapers and magazine subscription cards, and several neat boxes of computer disks. At her direction, I removed several thick black binders of typescript going back to the early 1970s from the first of two long rectangular black steel filing cabinets next to his desk. The other cabinet I was to discover contained folder after folder of earlier drafts, painstakingly labeled according to character or episode, beginning, middle, and end. Mrs. Ellison mused. Does it have a beginning, middle, and end? The question can't be put any better than that, I thought. Many times I followed the twists and turns of Ellison's plot and his characters' movements through space and time, traced and retraced their steps as they moved from D.C. south to Georgia and Alabama, southwest to Oklahoma, back again to the capital, and reached back with them from the novel's present moment of the mid-50s to spots of time in the 20s and 30s, and even farther to the first decade of the new century when the Oklahoma Territory emerged as a state. And always Mrs. Ellison's question pursued me and brought me back to the task at hand, for it was always clear that at the center of Ellison's saga was the story of Reverend Hickman and Senator Sunraider, from the senator's birth as Bliss to his death. To use an architectural metaphor, this was the true center of Ellison's great unfinished house of fiction, and although he did not complete the wings of this edifice, their absence does not significantly mar the organic unity of the book we do have. Juneteenth. Of all that Ellison wrote on his saga of a novel, Juneteenth is the narrative that best stands alone as a single self-contained volume, like a great river, perhaps the Mississippi, for Ellison, the great highway around which the integration of values and styles was taking place. Juneteenth draws from many uniquely African American and American tributaries, sermons, folk tales, the blues, the dozens, the swing and velocity of jazz. Its form borrows from the antiphonal call and response pattern of the black church and the riffs and bass lines of jazz. Through its pages flow the influences of literary antecedents and ancestors, among them Twain and Faulkner, who, like Ellison, were men of the territory. Above all, perhaps in this novel, Ellison converses with Faulkner. Juneteenth realizes Ellison's dream articulated in brave words for a startling occasion, his acceptance speech when he received the National Book Award for Invisible Man in 1953, of putting into a novel the rich babble of idiomatic expression around me, a language full of imagery and rhetorical canniness. Perhaps picking up where he left off in Invisible Man, Ellison is deliberately, provocatively approximate about historical time in Juneteenth. In both novels, his strategy is one of connotation and infiltration as he seeks to open up associations and create symbolic significance for events in the narrative, even as his writerly time extended far beyond the 50s. Ellison continued to locate the story circa 1955 from the time present of the immediate action. He said the story goes back into earlier experiences too, even to some of the childhood experiences of Hickman, who's an elderly man in time present. From beginning to end, Juneteenth, like Invisible Man, tests Ellison's conviction that time's burden, its blessing and curse, is a matter of the past being active in the present, or of the characters becoming aware of the manner in which the past acts on their present lives, end quote. In the wake of Invisible Man, Ellison also dreamed of a fiction whose theme was the indivisibility of American experience and the American languages tested by two equal protagonists. In Juneteenth, the two principals are the Reverend Alonzo Hickman, jazz man turned black minister, and Senator Adam Sunraider, a self-named race-baiting politician, formerly Bliss. In Ellison's words, a little boy of indefinite race who looks white and who, through a series of circumstances, comes to be reared by the Negro minister in different ways, expressive of radically different values and purposes. Each possesses an intellectual depth, end quote, complexity and eloquence visible from the inside out and therefore heard on the lower frequencies. Ellison had identified with democratic equality in Invisible Man with a level of fidelity that is stunning. Ellison conveys the intricate inner rhythms of consciousness felt by Hickman and Bliss alone and in profound relation to each other. Sometimes, he explained in an introductory note to Night Talk, an excerpt published in 1969, the two men actually converse. Sometimes the dialogue is illusory and occurs in the isolation of their individual minds, but through it all, it is antiphonal in form and an anguished attempt to arrive at the true shape and substance of a sundered past and its meaning, end quote. Yeah. Okay. Well, that's giving you the drift of this book for sure. We're going to read tomorrow. Oh, wait a minute. What day is today? Today is Friday. Okay, well, nope. We won't be reading from this book any further because we're going to do something different for the weekend. I'm not exactly sure what it'll be, but it will relate to Juneteenth. And maybe I'll find some videos of some Juneteenth celebrations to share with you online tomorrow. So I'll do that for Saturday and Sunday. And then on Monday, we're going to begin on a different holiday. Matter of fact, I think what I do for the second half of this week, this 1 week period, we'll focus on the other holiday I mentioned before, and I think it was called Jubilee. I think that first day in of the year was called. It was people celebrated a holiday and they called it Jubilee, because Jubilee is related to the Shabbat. The Shabbat is the Sabbath, and the Sabbath is technically the Sabbath is actually on Saturday. Okay, that's when the Hebrews or the Jews, that's when they go to church, or what do you call it? Their temple. They go on the synagogue. They will go on Saturday because that's the day of the actual Shabbat or the Sabbath, the day you're supposed to take rest. Same thing with the Seventh-day Adventists. They also observe the seventh day, which is Saturday. The first day of the week, if you look on all your calendars, it'll talk about it. You see it right on the calendar that the first day of the week is Sunday. And we were supposed to do a thing on calendars, but I jumped past that and jumped into something else. Okay, we may come back to calendars though, because these calendars are always relevant. Meanwhile, so that's what we're going to do on the weekend. And then, like I said, we're going to look at doing something on the that Jubilee holiday starting on Monday. And then we'll go from there. Meanwhile, you know what to do. Do the needful. Don't make me sit over here getting pleadful. Give us a like and a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to Tubular Black Facts if you haven't done it already. And first and foremost, go ahead and share what we're doing over here with all your friends and your family over there. We will be black tonight. Look for us again at 9 o'clock. This is Doc Ock at noon and 9. Signing off. Peace out, Sister Esther. We will see you later.